Many people say that they want to write a book, yet 9 out of every 10 people who start writing a book never finish it, leaving one of their biggest dreams unfulfilled. So, what is it about the 1 in 10 people who do finish writing their book? What do they have, and what drives them to complete their books, their plays, and their songs? Welcome to the Editor's Desk, where we explore their writing experiences, their motivations, and their struggles. And now, here are your hosts, author, writing coach, and self-publishing guide, Lynn Everard, and author, Louise Gomez. Look at that, there we are.
There we are.
It's Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on February 16th, and that can only mean one thing. It means you're watching the Editor's Desk. My name is Lynn Everard.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. My name is Louise Gomez. We're excited to have you here in the Editor's Desk. How's your week going, Lynn?
It is flying by.
I know, this is true. This is true.
And we have more things going now than I think at any point since we started the show, but it's all good. And so we thought we would give you a little update as to what's happening for us. One of the things we had talked about for quite a while and set intentions for.
We always set intentions.
Everything we do, we set an intention
Right,
for.
we do.
And that was taking the Editor's Desk on the road.
We did mention that. We said that. We
Yeah.
declared that. I remember we were driving in Palm Beach County and we were like, oh, we're going to take it on the road.
Yes, and so we are actually doing that.
Yeah.
Now, it's not Chicago or LA, but you got to start somewhere. And so we're delighted to share with you that we are going to be at the Read It, Write It Festival at Wellington Green Mall on February 25th from 11 to 4. We will have our book for sale, and you can come by and meet us, talk to us about the show, talk to us about people that you know, and we have something else that's new that we'd like to share with you now, and that is that we've been watching for a number of years, watching these companies that do book reviews.
Yep.
And it's crazy because you spend all this money on a book review, but you have no idea who read your book.
Right.
You have no idea what their qualifications are. And you have no recourse if the review turns out to not be very good.
This is true.
So we thought, when we put our backgrounds together, which is part of the reason we enjoy doing the show,
Right.
is that we actually have something to offer in that area. So we are officially announcing, there's still some details to be worked out, but we're officially announcing
The Boca
Book
Book
Review.
Review. Yeah.
and
That's exciting.
there'll be more coming. But if you're an author, one of the things that you'll want to do when you get your book done and get it out into the world is to have book reviews that come from someplace that's reputable. And you all know who we are. So, and if you don't, we'll tell you.
And remind people of what the importance of a book review was, because remember, once we started getting our book reviews, the whole algorithm for Amazon, the more reviews you have, can you tell us how does that work for people?
When you have a book review from a credible source, a credible book review company, then it tells the potential reader, potential buyer of the book that, gee, this book must actually be worth reading, that
Right.
it must be worth buying.
Right.
And so this is something that can be really helpful for that, especially for the new author. And we are in the process of putting together a package so that not only would someone be able to purchase a book review, but within that package also have a guest appearance on our show.
Absolutely.
And so we're very excited about that because we read everybody's book
Yes, we
every
do.
week. Anyway,
do.
we've read a lot of books since August 4th.
Yeah, I
when
mean,
we-
that's our way of honoring our
Yes.
guests. We're going to read their book. I mean, that's just
Absolutely.
what we do.
So we very much enjoyed that, and we thought, you know what, let's add some more value to the package. So that's what we're doing. We're excited to share it with you. Come out and visit us at the Wellington Green Mall on the
Yes.
25th. We'll be there from 11 to 4. Come by, say hello, bring your friends, bring someone that might want to might be interested in writing a book,
Yep.
might be interested in being on our show, we'd be happy to talk to you. And we just love to meet you and really get to know our audience a little bit more.
Absolutely. I think, the published community, when we create larger, we can create a larger impact when we create that community, when we create that sense of, rapport where we're building with others who are writers, publishers, or reviewers, or people looking to get into, writing their own book. So it's a sense of you're not doing it alone, because some people just don't know where to start. They don't know what to do.
Absolutely.
So
It's, people work tirelessly to get their book written, and they're excited because now they've got the book out there.
yeah,
But they don't realize that the work in some ways is just beginning.
yeah.
Because if
absolutely.
you spend that much time and energy and effort writing your book
Yeah.
and nobody sees it, what does that feel like, right? It's like, no, we want people to see your book. And
Right.
that's where marketing comes in. And we are in the process of assembling resources that we can share with you that will
Absolutely.
be able to help authors be able to get the visibility for their books, be able to market their books, and be able to have a number of services that many authors don't even know exist. So
Yeah.
we're shifting.
It's
Our
exciting.
show's going to be very similar to what it's been in the past. We'll have authors in.
Sure.
We will introduce. We will talk to them about their books.
Yep.
But we are also adding an aspect
Resources.
of resources. So if you're interested and you've thought maybe I'd like to write a book sometime,
Yeah.
we want to support you in being able to do that. And so we will have more for you as time goes on as we put all of this together. But we appreciate your watching the show and sharing this with others. And this
Absolutely.
is just another step, another phase in the evolution of the editor's desk.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And with that, we're going to go to
Yeah.
a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with tonight's guest.
Yeah, I'm excited about tonight's guest. We got a lot to share.
Yes. Imagine rediscovering a past life.
Now imagine finding the person you shared it with.
And I just told all my friends, I'm like, you guys have to read this because I can't put it down. And I have not even gotten to the half of the book yet.
We are Lynn Everard and Louise Gomez, and we are the authors of the book, The Reuniting of Two Past Lives and the Unveiling of the 12 Sacred Lessons.
We invite you to purchase the book and discover the magic.
Welcome back to the Editor's Desk. Once again, we are your hosts,
I'm Louise Gomez.
and I'm Lynn Everard.
Now back to the show.
And we're back.
We're back. Here we are.
So tonight we are delighted to
Yes.
introduce Zayna de Gaia, who is one of those resources that we talked about. And we think you'll really enjoy what she has to say. So we're going to ask her to introduce herself and
Yes.
tell us a little bit about her background and what she does and the services that she offers to authors. Welcome, Zayna.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. So, introduce myself and what I do. Well, my background is in well-being, holistic well-being. I've owned yoga studios for 15 years. I've trained yoga teachers, and I've been like in the industry of developing leadership. And for the last 10 years, I have been an expert in self-publishing for myself. So I've combined all my resources to show people how to get their book out. I think a lot of people have an important message, have an important story, and they have this thing like it's a really big deal to get a book out, and I want to let them know it is a big deal, but it can be so done, it can be so easy for you to be a published author.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things that's exciting about what you do is that, you know, that we'll say the typical traditional size book would be about 45 to 50,000 words, and for some people that is overwhelming,
Could be.
right? To think that's what they would have to do to come up with that many words. Like, how would I do that, right? Because we're authors, we understand how that process can be. So you do something different, though. You offer people an opportunity to write a shorter book.
I do. And, you know, when you were saying that at first, I was looking at it from the view of the reader. Like, it could be really overwhelming. And it is that way in this day and age. It's overwhelming to look at a 40 to 50,000 page book. Whereas when we see like a 100-page book, we can manage that. So that's the first thing is, yes, I encourage people to, you know, you may have a 50,000 book in you, some of us do, but what if that turned into 3 books instead of 1, right? And then the other thing is, people have reasons for why their book isn't out, and I promise you all the reasons, we can work them out. We could work out like I can't write. You don't have to actually be a writer to write a book. You know, my story may not be good enough, may not be worth it. Well, I have news for you. Each one of us has a story, and it is worth sharing. So the work that I do with people, a lot of it is getting ready. Like, you may have an idea for a book, or you may even have written your book already. I sit down with you to look and see, what is your intention in writing this book? And what is your message for the world? So I actually help to organize the book so that it's easy for you to get it out there. And then I work with Lynn and company because we share resources. Like, I may have somebody for them if they, for example, don't want to write the book themselves and they want to have it ghostwritten, I'll guide them to that. But before we even get to all of that, I call it the soul lesson search, and being really, really clear what we're here to share, what our message is. And then the book is a vehicle for that.
Sounds like you're coaching them along the way, and through your coaching and through your process, the book is a byproduct of their journey. Is that right?
Yes.
I love that.
And you know, sometimes by the time we're done, the book may change.
Could
Or
be.
something about the book may change. Sometimes the title may change, or the whole book changes.
We
And
know
I don't
about
want to say
that.
that to discourage people. But when you find that, when you are so clear about what your message is, there's an ease in writing the book. There's grace that comes through, and it happens so easily. So I help people to get to that space where what comes out is so easy. Because the first phase in writing your book is the part nobody else can do. I always tell people that. Like, that's the part you've got to put in the time, and that's getting your story out from inside of you
Right.
onto paper, audio, whatever it's going to take, right? So that first phase, you've got to work through that. Now, I coach people through that phase so they stay connected to what's important, and also don't throw away things.
Right.
We often throw away things because we think no. So I guide them through that, so we get to like I call it like the phase 1 shell, and then the second phase is the actual writing of the book. So some people take that on, they want to write the book, and other people will delegate it out to somebody else.
So are you coaching people mainly in that arena of health and wellness, or is it different?
So my main program is called the Creatrix program.
Oh,
And how
okay.
this started is I wrote a book 12 years ago called Thank You for HPV. And I went to the doctors. I was told I had HPV, which is a virus that turns into cancer, and it's sexually transmitted. I healed myself from it. And I say I healed myself. I'm not allowed to say that. But I literally healed myself holistically, mentally, emotionally, and I did get rid
Nice.
of the physical symptoms. However, I wrote the book, and my book was a 100-page book that simply shared my journey of healing, what I did to holistically heal.
Nice.
That book is my example of what's possible for all of us. I wrote that book in less than 2 months and put it out. And 12 years ago, when it wasn't like there wasn't Canva,
Right.
there wasn't all these amazing tools that we have now, right?
Right.
So I think that's possible for everyone. Everyone has a story, and everyone has the ability to get their message out. And that the process of writing your story and putting it out, I promise you the scariest thing that stops most people is what we can't see is the fear of pushing that publish button and having yourself, your story, your life out to be judged, to be criticized, to be read, to be seen, to be loved, to be hated, all of that. And that's the part that's really scary. So I work through that with people. So by the time we get to that publish button, we actually practice a lot of how to share it and the things people may say. Because it's so vulnerable to publish your book and put your story out.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
remember going through that with you. I said, wait a minute, Lynn. Hold on. People are going to read this too.
You'll change your mind.
Yeah.
You'll change your mind. You'll
Yeah.
get to a point that
Couple
I was
edits.
like, put on your checklist. This is where you're going to decide it was a bad idea. And you will, because, think of like artists, like somebody who writes a song and they hit it really big. Like at first that song is great. By the time it's published and on the radio, you're like, and then they're still performing it and they're
Right.
still generating, right? So it's the same thing with us, like as creators, as artists. Like by the time I'm done with my book and proofing it and editing it, and
Sure.
like I'm so over it. But here's the thing, that even though I'm over it, it still impacts people's lives. Like that book, Thank You for HPV, I thought of many times of taking it down because I'm like, gosh, it's just not me anymore. But it's not about me. And that's the thing about writing a book is the people who come to me are the ones who, they don't care about being bestsellers. I mean, they do want to impact
Sure.
the world, but they want to be a bestseller so they can touch as many people as they can touch through their book. So we just get that authenticity out, that realness, and it's scary to go there, but I think the more we're willing to show ourselves to the world, I think we get a lot. We're the ones that end up getting the most out of it.
I
It's
agree.
freedom.
I agree. It's
Yeah.
just
Absolutely. And one of
growth.
the things that I think really intimidates writers who want to become authors is this idea of sitting there and staring at the blank screen, the Word document with nothing on the page, or the notebook with not a single word written on the first page. And it's like, oh no, what do I do? What do I write about? And one of the things I love about your program is that you take people through a process that gets them ready to
Yeah.
be able to start writing, rather than creating an expectation that, okay, just start writing.
right. And
Yes.
And she said something really valuable. She said, don't throw anything away, because there were things I was writing that I thought I was going to use at one portion of the book. I ended up using it in another. So all of it is valuable. So just keep flowing and writing, even if it's maybe not in the timeline or in that, projection.
It is. Whatever, like when you're taking the time to look for yourself, what's my life experience for? What did I learn from it? What do I want to put out into the world? You start to get a sense of what people will experience, and you really you get to just be yourself with people.
So important just to be able to do that. Just be yourself and just be authentic.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's, because the book is not just a book, but it's your energetic signature, right, within your authenticity. And that's really what you're broadcasting out into the world, out into the universe, that this is who I am. And if people aren't clear about that, or they're a little confused or a little foggy about it, they're going to send out a mixed message
Right.
that people won't know how to respond to. So, that's one of the things I really love about your program, is that you help people get clear
Yes.
on who they are,
And their message.
what their message is, and then what they're going to surround that message with.
Yes. Look, everybody's got that uniqueness, right? And then we all have like the tools that we've used in our life and what has gotten us to where we are. What's going to come out of your content of your book is not just for your book. You can recycle that content for so many things. Like the book is one package. You could turn your book into an online course. You could turn it into an Audible. You could turn it into several small books. You can have workbooks that go with it. So it's just the beginning. I want people to understand the thing about publishing a book. It's another stream of income. It's a great way to gain royalties. Most people who write books are not like making a killing off their royalties, unless you're like Paris Hilton. She just put out her book. She has millions of followers. it's very different from somebody like me who has 1,500 followers.
Sure.
It's not a quantity thing, right? So my book is, one, I write the books for me, like that I need to get out of my heart. That's the first thing I tell people. Write it for you. And then the people who will resonate with your message, they will find you because you are speaking so clearly and you're speaking from your heart. And they'll find you. Because now you're saying it, you have a book out. So your book becomes like an extended business card,
That's
a
right.
ticket that opens opportunities to speak and go to places and be a guest on a podcast, right? So it just opens a lot of doors, regardless of who you are. You know, you could be somebody who is somebody who's raising their children at home, but you have an idea for a cookbook, you know, and then you can share that with people. So it's everybody has a voice and everybody has a message, and books are a great way to get them out, especially this day and age. So no
Agreed.
excuses, you all. And I'll tell you, the biggest excuse is the one of being afraid to be seen, and this is our time to shine.
You know what's funny about that is that one of the as humans, one of the things we desire most deeply is to be seen, heard, and understood. But when it comes to doing that within a book, we're scared of the very thing we desire the most, and so does that come up in your conversations with
Oh
people?
yeah, one of the things I have my clients do is I have them start sharing the book before they publish it. I have them actually send chapters out and request that people give them feedback. So you start getting used to hearing people's feedback is amazing, but you take from it what you want and you leave the rest. And if you could learn to do that, you know, being a creator not only of book but of content where you're sharing yourself, it becomes easier. I mean, ultimately, we all just want to be loved, and the fear of being criticized is terrifying. I mean, you know, anybody can go on Amazon and they can leave reviews on my book, and I have reviews on my book, you know, and then I have people who are like, oh, she's great, I love her. And I have other people who are like, you know, she doesn't use any numbers. She's so like out there, right? Like I'm not scientific enough for them, so
Right.
I'm not. But that's great feedback for me. I'm like, maybe, you know, my next book, I can maybe,
Sure.
you know, for those people to hear me better. But
And
yeah, it's terrifying, but it's part of the game. It's part of the game of being out there, and people are gonna love you, and people are gonna criticize you.
And that's a really good tool, is to be able to get feedback, because I know it took me a long time to get used to that whole notion of, okay, getting feedback, giving feedback, you know, it's definitely something that helps us to grow. It helped me to grow and to be able to evolve and not take things so personally, right? It's just something that can help.
Yeah, it's
It
like
can-
taking your ego on the scariest roller coaster you can imagine, right?
Yeah, I've
And-
done that. I get it.
It is, you know, you risk being ridiculed, judged, whatever. You know, you really, and it gives us an opportunity to be more at home with myself. Like I like to get feedback, and some things are hard to hear, but the things that are hard to hear are for me to see what that is on the inside. you know?
Right.
But you learn so much. I always learn so much. Like I said, that feedback on Amazon telling me I'm not like scientific. I'm not enough. I'm not a numbers person, and they're right. And I don't speak to those people.
Correct.
So knowing that actually helps me, because it helps me look what's missing so I could impact more people. So feedback is not, you know, doesn't feel great, but it sure is helpful.
It's a valuable tool, right?
Yeah.
We have a chapter called Triggers Are Our Gifts. So
Yes.
if that feedback is triggering us, we get to sit with it and say, okay, why is this triggering me?
Right.
What do I get to do
Yes.
to learn about myself? It's all about the learning and the growth process. So
Yep.
thank you
Yeah.
for that share. You said it so eloquently.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience writing a book. You learn so much about yourself, and like you said earlier, Zayna, that really we write the books for ourselves, and first and foremost, and then they go out to other people.
Right.
But we were talking about old songs earlier, and
Yeah.
I came up. The words to this old Rick Nelson song, "Garden Party," came into my head.
Don't know
And it
it.
said, "You can't please everyone, so just please yourself." Right, and so
true.
you're talking about how do you handle the criticism or the rejection, but the other thing too, I think maybe to help understand is that a lot of times when people criticize, they either don't understand or they're projecting their own self-criticism
They will criticize.
out onto you, right?
Sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the process, I get people very clear why they're doing this. None of us are really we do want to be seen and we want followers, but there's something about sharing your story that makes a difference for you to get it out.
Yes.
So I think when we're clear at the beginning, you know what, I'm doing this for me.
Yep.
And if y'all don't like it, it's cool.
Right.
And if you're out to have a bestseller and you want to impact as many people as you want, then you want to be strategic in the cover and the title so that it lands for the people that you want your
Sure.
message to land with. But at the beginning, if you're clear about that you're really doing this for yourself, then that feedback doesn't land so harsh.
Yeah.
It doesn't. You're like, okay, I got it, and I'm not doing this for anyone.
Right.
Right. It's just a sense of accomplishment for us
Yeah.
when we did that.
Yes, absolutely.
For me,
And I
that's
have to
an-
tell you, I used to say, like, I'm doing this for other people to help people.
Yeah.
I would say that. That's what my book
Sure.
is for. When I got really honest with myself, I got like, no, I do it first and foremost for me. And that gave me freedom to then do it for others. Does that make
Nice.
sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely makes sense.
As we reach toward the end of our show, one of the things we want to share with you is that we will be putting Zayna's contact information on our Facebook page for the
Yes.
show. So if you'd like to reach out to her, you'll be able to find her that way.
Absolutely.
And Zayna, you are multi-talented,
Yeah.
so I know you have other things that you do. So in a minute or two here, what would you like to share with our audience, things that you have going on that they might be interested in?
Awesome. Well, first of all, I thank you everyone for listening, and I just want everyone to know that your life is so precious, and your life experiences are so precious, and the lessons you're here to learn are so precious, and they're worth hearing. So thank you for hearing me out. I think if people go to my Instagram, it's probably the best place because I have links to my stand-up comedy Instagram where
Oh,
I
nice.
put up my clips. I
Nice.
love laughing. I also, my art Instagram that's there, it shows my art. I'm also a crypto geek and I educate people in how money works and how to build a wealth mindset. But you can find all that on my Instagram. And locally, if you're in Dania, I do shows and I teach yoga, so you can check out my schedule on my website.
What's your Instagram tag?
It's at Zayna de Gaia, my full name.
Okay.
And yeah, and if there's a book that you want to put out and you want to do it yourself, but you want a guide, that's what I do. I guide people to do it
Yeah.
yourself, publish your own book. And I say do it in 30 days, but it's possible to do it in less than that. It depends.
Right.
but
Everything's possible,
Yes.
right?
Everything
It's all
is possible.
possible.
And thank you so
Thanks
much for
for
joining us.
thanks for coming.
Next week, our guest will be Dr. Watson Jordan, who will be sharing his book,
Great book.
Mine, Yours, and Ours, a father's process of grieving over a lost child, a lost baby. And we
Some
thank you for
tears.
watching. And yes, and so we'll actually get to talk to him next
Yeah,
week.
I'm excited to do
And
that.
until then, have a wonderful week.
Thank you for tuning in to the Editor's Desk, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good night. Even if you have never written a book, you are still an author. In fact, we all are. In every moment, each of us is writing our own unique story that we call our lives. Because many of us are, as in the lyrics of the Dan Hill song, Sometimes When We Touch, writers still trapped within our truth. If this is you, why not start writing your thoughts in a journal? It will help you get your truth on paper and could just be the start of your own book. And don't forget to join us here every week for the next edition of The Editor's Desk.